Welcome to the Build It Better podcast. I'm Robert Johnson. Today, we are privileged to have Roger Ford and Brad Cooper with Frame Up Now. Thanks for joining us, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Yeah. Look at you. I've got the Roger's already, he's trying to size me up right
no,
now.
I'm not.
I
think you've made a great introduction, and now we need to live up to it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Roger, you are the CEO.
I am.
Brad, you are managing partner?
Yes.
Okay. We've covered all the important stuff. We've got 58 minutes now to discuss what we like to discuss. Let's start with you. You have a very interesting background, and one of which we were discussing a pre-production. I'll let you give us a little bit about yourself, and then I've got a question for you.
Well, if I do that, we're going to need about 3 or 4 hours.
Exactly, which is what we just mentioned before we started.
So
you
why don't
give me the highlights.
Give me a place to start, and I'll continue, and I'll make it brief as possible.
Okay, start with what you have done previously with the last 2 endeavors before this one.
Well, the endeavor prior to this was a business of the heart,
Right.
and I mean how to save a person whose heart's failing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the CEO of a company by the name of Syncardia, and it was a Robert Jarvik company, the Jarvik Heart to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And it had moved along till University of Arizona bought it, and they didn't do much with it. I got involved, and I developed the technology of the little driver that allowed someone to go home with the artificial heart.
Now you're talking, they've got no heart.
No, well, that's where I got a heart,
Yeah.
but they don't.
They had no heart. It was basically in a backpack on their back.
Well, the heart was removed. The ventricles, heart's got 4 pieces to it, and the 2
Yep.
ventricles were removed. Artificial ventricles were installed, and those ventricles pushed and pulled with a pneumatic driver that was carried on the back of a person.
Amazing.
Yep, and it saved a lot of lives.
As it well should.
Yeah.
Before that,
Well, before that, I developed a company called the Pets Hotel.
thank you. So this is perfect. This is exactly the 2 that I mentioned to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty popular here in Arizona. As a matter of fact, our first location outside of Tucson was here in Phoenix, and we worked with a big developer to determine whether or not we could put a Pets Hotel, which is really a very sophisticated kennel, inside of an inline shopping center. And we were successful at it, and it took off. And it ended up that PetSmart, who needed to expand their business, bought it, and now it's all over America.
Absolutely. You couldn't, I mean, because it's the truth, but you couldn't have answered it any better. So from that kind of a background to CEO Frame Up Now, cold form steel, light gauge steel, housing solutions, manufacturing. Why that?
Because this is an opportunity that really should be available to the world, not just Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, I agree.
And the way things are manufactured, the historical way homes are manufactured with wood or concrete block or whatever is really antiquated to take care of the growing population. And the efficiencies required to build homes quickly, accurately, that'll stand the test of hundreds of years. And Brad and I could see that opportunity, and we began with a prototype manufacturing plant in Tucson with a parent company whose business is creating designs, models, ready to, and if you're FrameCAD, you call them ready to roll, or you might say they're ready to print.
Yeah, I love that one better. Yeah.
But we produce a set of drawings that ends up being converted to printable instructions that then instruct the machines to make the precise parts to build the frame, which we call skeletons. Skeletons for now 300 designs we have in our system, but growing rapidly.
And you had to be very passionate or feel very passionate about it to go into it in the first place. I mean, from pet hotels and artificial hearts to manufacturing housing, which I mean, again, it's very essential to man.
Yeah.
But yeah, just an interest. And so I'm fascinated by the fact that it was something that gathered your attention.
Well, you make it sound complex, and it's not. All businesses need the same basic business systems because they have the same basic business functions. Whether it's accounting or finance or accounts payable, accounts receivable, manufacturing, standard operating procedures, they're all the same. So the key is to get all those systems in place before you get the plane in the air. Otherwise, the wings will fall off.
Way too many people try to build it while they're in flight.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's backwards.
So we've been very careful getting that together, including the marketing systems and the vision of the world market. We began looking at an Arizona market, and then we said it's bigger than that. Then it evolved to the American market, and it really is a U.S. market. But we're going to take it all over the world.
Because it is bigger than that.
That's
You're
right.
right. You're absolutely correct. And I think that, and we'll get into more about specifically the vision and your process, because I think that's the win in this whole thing. Let me jump to something else first. You're the construction guy, Brad.
That's correct.
What did you build? What primarily have you been in the construction world?
Well, basically, I've just been in the residential market.
Oh, yeah.
Been building that for about 25 years.
Okay.
And we did a little bit of light commercial, some hotel work,
Sure.
That type of stuff, some apartments, but mainly came back to the custom residential market. That's kind of where my heart's been.
And it was still all, I would say, majority of it was framed even in lumber at that time.
It is. And, well, 100% of it's always framed in lumber.
Okay. Yeah.
Very little manufacturing with metal, very little. So this was kind of a big leap forward for myself, making that change into metal. But the end product is the same, but getting there is just so different from what I was used to. But it was a good transition.
Yeah. What was it that pushed you over the top that made you say?
Roger and we worked together on developing a subdivision, and he's the land developer and I'm the builder. And we decided to take a trip to Florida to go see a home show.
Okay.
And if this doesn't turn out right, that was our first mistake.
Okay.
That's right.
Fair enough.
That's right.
Fair enough.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we were just going over there to check out products, see what would be good for the building industry, and we came across the FrameCAD booth.
Interesting.
And we were just kind of blown away by it. This is fantastic what we're seeing here. And we went and wandered around for a little while longer and
Kept
said,
coming
we got to
back
go
to the
back.
FrameCAD
We got to go
booth.
back.
Yeah.
We wound up coming back, I think,
They
3
said,
times.
here they come again.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. That's where we met Jonathan.
Right.
And we spent at least 3 visits with him, maybe 4. And by the end of that trip, we looked at each other and decided, we got to do this.
Yeah.
This is something that's just going to take off.
Yeah, I was kind of the same way. I'm a construction guy that saw it.
Okay.
And I've been in mostly commercial construction my entire life. So I'm a metal stud guy, but on the commercial end.
But not the prefab stuff. You
Not
just
the
bought
prefab
stud.
stuff.
Yeah.
And boy, when I saw the prefab stuff and the benefits of offsite construction, that was the win for me at the time. Now that I've been in it the length of time that I have, and I've really, because as you know, in the construction world, the people that do the framing typically
Yes.
are a subcontractor
Correct.
who work with a general contractor. You being a general contractor, I'm coming to you and I'm trying to get you to change from light gauge steel to wood. And I'm spouting all of these benefits that you care nothing about. I say to you, we're going to be able to reduce general conditions and da-da-da-da. And you're like, I'm not giving my general conditions back.
Right.
We're talking, I made this comment on a previous recording. We're pounding the pulpit in front of the wrong congregation.
Yeah.
Although we need general contractors in the business and they need to see it and feel it, it's really something that should be looked at from a pro forma perspective more than a line item perspective, because the real benefits are gained by that developer, that landowner, that owner that gets the advantages of the builder's risk insurance reduction, the ongoing property insurance that's cheaper, speed to market, reduced interest payments on construction. I mean, you just go on and on and on. You really factor all that stuff in there, we're better than lumber.
Would you like to go to work for us?
Yeah, I think
That's
I think I kind of indirectly do.
You just gave all. I have nothing else to say.
Yeah, we're done here.
That's it.
Thanks for
Wrap up,
joining
yeah.
us. Yeah,
That's right.
but that's exact. So that's where it got exciting to me. Now I'm gonna just take this softball and I'm gonna pitch it as slow as I can to you folks. When I understood the real driving force behind the system is that it is a design-led system, DFMA, Design for Manufacturing Assembly. When I learned and really comprehended that it really, all the win happens within the design,
Correct.
because of all the clash detection and everything, that there's so much more work done up front in this type of construction than there is in the
field.
traditional world,
Right.
that makes the installation and all that stuff where anybody can do it. Literally, if you have 5 fingers and can hold a drill and pull a trigger, you can do this. You don't even need a tape measure. You guys have really kind of grasped this, really gotten a hold of this design piece, haven't you?
Well, let me give you a little outtake, and then I'll come back and answer your revelation more directly. We have about 300 designs now in our online design catalog, and we're going to add to that catalog RV garages.
Excellent.
There's a demand for them. So I've been doing some research on RV garages, and I found a company that has over 1,000 RV garage plans.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's too many.
Yeah.
It's too many because the customer that comes to us may want one of 5, but they may want 5.1, 5.2, 5.3.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what we've really gotten good at, and we've gotten good at it as a result of having 300 designs now that we've done for the do-it-yourselfer, and we add 20 to 30 of those designs per month now. So we just trademarked a new product last week.
I think it's the one I was going to get to next. Say it.
It's called Napkin Can.
Yes, I love it. That's where I was
idea.
going.
Right? So that do-it-yourselfer or a custom home builder or a production home builder can give us that plan. Give me the floor plan. Give me the heights of the walls. Give me the elevations. Tell me where the windows and doors go and tell me their sizes. I will have you back a manufacturable plan in 24 hours.
Yeah. Now let me interject. So because every one of us at this table, I make it sound like there's 100 people here. Every one of us at this table, we've all been sitting having those conversations where we drew a plan on the back of a napkin.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
And this is it. Let's sketch this thing out.
Yep.
You literally can take that napkin and turn it into a
Absolutely.
full-scale building.
It becomes a 3D plan in less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
And by doing that, we can see all the clashes, conflicts, and so forth, and we can create an engineered outcome. That doesn't mean that the customer doesn't need to review it to make sure that their napkin matches our output.
Absolutely.
But the benefit is that we have so many hours and people invested in the design side. We're so good at it that we can take a new design and produce it in 24 hours. We have 10 people that do this all day long. So that means that someone can go on our site when we get RV garages up there, take a look at it, say, I really like that, but I want this version of it. Say, fine. Tell us what you want, and we'll do it. And if we like it enough, it may contribute to increasing our RV garage design catalog. And I think that's where the real benefit is here, and that's where the roadblock is, by the way, to people getting started.
Thank you.
With the FrameCAD equipment, because the design side has to be so precise and so accurate that's where you spend your time. Then the output is simple if the design's right.
And you know this because you're in this business and you had to start just like all the others. The design is the roadblock to FrameCAD, Howick, whatever it is. The design is the roadblock because it's although the technology has been around for 15 plus years worldwide, it has been the U.S., North America has been slow to adopt for whatever reason, large, strength in the lumber market and the lumber lobby, those kinds of things. But by being able to figure out that design piece, because you go out and do a job posting, ask for a light gauge steel designer that can design in frame catch structure or MWF or whatever. They don't exist.
So you know what? We want to be just like Ron Popeil.
There it is, the pocket fisherman.
Well, that's one of them. But the other one I like is the chicken roaster.
Yeah.
So you put it in there and set it and forget it.
Yeah.
So we want to make it easy when the erection and the assembly side comes. So the panels and the trusses get delivered, and they go together so accurately that a production builder benefits. He can build a house much faster. A do-it-yourselfer can now do it without having a relationship between the couple destroyed over the conflict of framing with wood.
Yeah, it happens almost every project.
The arguments
That's right.
I sit in front of are saying, okay, take it outside.
Yeah, the emotional attachment of a homeowner, of somebody building a home, is one of the big reasons why I never really got into it. But so all this talk, it really makes the whole installation process so dumbed down. It's a horrible phrase, but it's like it truly is so easy. I cannot express how easy it is to put it together. You have one person that you can have on site that knows how to read plans, that has basic carpentry skills.
From there, you can have a couple of helpers, and you can put it together pretty easy.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it, and it's so. For instance, a 12 to 1,500 square foot home. How long take it to stand it up?
Oh, I would say it stood up in 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you tell that to people, I've been sitting in production home builders' offices and said, hey, this is what you need to do. You really need to go this way. And they're like, nope, I've already looked at it. Cannot beat me in traditional wood framing. And I went, what? So I said, if you're telling me that if you start with a stack of lumber on site beside a slab, and I start with a stack of panels on the slab over here, that there's no difference, that we're not going to beat you, we're going to smoke you.
That's right.
I mean, it's not even going to be close. You're going to be cutting bands off. We're going to have 3 or 4 walls up.
That's right.
It's a fascinating piece.
Well, it goes beyond that.
Yep.
What happens 2 years later?
Oh, yeah.
When that wood settles, shrinks,
shrinking.
twists, bends, and the walls crack, both inside and out, and the doors don't fit anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then the builder's got to go back and fix that. And the customer's really unhappy because they dealt with a good builder, had a good reputation, and now the house isn't what they expected.
Yeah.
And so what happens to their reputation? What do people talk about? What went wrong, not what went right?
Oh, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So we just deliver them a solution that produces a happy customer.
Sure.
It really does, yeah.
What I think is really important to stress here is, and let's go back to the design, and you mentioned on it, so exact, okay? And I mean, I've told people within a 1/16 of an inch because I felt comfortable saying it. The safe is, within an 1/8 of an inch of being square.
Right.
However, let's take that out of there. In traditional construction, Brad, your millwork people, they don't come in and even start manufacturing cabinets until you got drywall hung, so they can come and measure in the field.
Make sure.
Because it's never what it shows on the plans.
That's right.
With these systems, what it says on the plan
Is what it is.
is what it's going to be when they show up.
That's
So
right.
the production home builders, the custom home builders, all people.
Brad,
they can-
I never thought about that. Yeah, I'm sure you have, because you're agreeing. I never thought about that benefit because the builder can get way ahead of schedule
Think
by
about
getting
this,
things
Roger.
done in advance.
That production home builder can order all his millwork. You can, let's say I've got 5 floor plans in this subdivision. You can order all your millwork because without a doubt, when they're done, that's going to slide right in. Anything.
And you say
great.
1/8 of an inch, I'm telling you it's a 32nd of an inch stack tolerance.
Right. Listen, I still agree with you.
Okay, so stack tolerance means some are 32nd over, some are under, but when you stack it all up, you got 32nd or maybe dead on.
Yeah. It really is that exact. And people are like, nah, there's no way.
It really is.
Okay, test me. I mean, we built a 5-story, 120,000 square foot in Tucson. I can't remember the streets, I tell you, but
Wood or metal?
metal, whole thing.
Did you
Wood,
really?
yeah, load bearing building. This
Yep.
was constructed 2 years ago.
Okay.
There's another one that's being constructed a quarter of a mile down the street in Tucson, and
Yeah.
I'll get you the address because it's also a load bearing, all frame CAD.
All frame kit. Okay, that's great.
And that same owner is building a 7-story in downtown Tucson, all load bearing.
Wow.
Really?
But my point in all that is that I went into I say this ad nauseum, so I apologize to listeners and viewers that have heard me say this before, but I went into that one construction meeting, pre-construction meeting for the 120,000 square foot 5-story. 15, 20 different subcontractors at the table. The plumber's sitting across the table from me and says, "Hey, what happens when one of my plumbing stubs hits one of your framing members?"
It won't.
And I go, "You can't." And everybody at the table busted up laughing. And I looked at the guy and said, "I'm serious. Because when our panel shows up, that framing member is where we say it is." Well, but what if my stub hits it? Can't we box out? I said, no. Go up 5 stories. There's a truss sitting on top of that comes all the way down. You don't fool with it. So the way that you help fix that is you get involved with BIM and you figure out where they need to go before.
Put it where it goes. That's
Oh
right.
my goodness. You want to talk, it was almost a fist fight. I mean, it was like ugly. They get out in the field, they start putting in their rough end plumbing, and I show up and I'm like, "Hey guys, are you looking at our shop drawings? Or have you looked at anything?" "No, aren't you got my drawing? We got string lines out and all kinds of stuff." Well, it created a bit of a problem, and they had to. So we get started. We get up to about the 3rd floor, and I bring a potential client through. We're walking through the building. I'm passing the plumber on the 3rd floor, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh God, no!
yeah,
Please
that's
no!
right.
Please no! Don't say a word." They stop the plumber. They stop at the plumber and say, "Hey, what do you think about this system?" And the guy turned around and kind of chuckled, and he said, "Well, the 1st floor was a little rough for us." And he explained why. He goes, "But after we figured it out on the 1st floor, it's been exactly the same every floor up." So once we got out of the way and got out of our own way, it was it was a breeze. So people, the MEP people of this world push back.
Oh yeah.
You know this, the electricians, what's the first thing they say when you tell them it's going to be like gauge steel? "Well, your price is going to go up." Why?
That's right.
But they're learning. But the design's the key. It's all in that design.
It is.
And so if I'm in Minnesota and I get on and I find one of your plans and I say, "Wow, I want that." But I think to myself, it's going to cost me billions of dollars to ship this to Minnesota. How do you solve that?
What did Tesla do when they started? They didn't have outlets in Minnesota. They had one in Las Vegas, maybe. What'd they do? They shipped the car.
Mm-hmm.
And if they had to, they took a loss on it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do the same thing. Our outcome eventually is a whole series of distributors throughout America. And they'll benefit from our online design,
Correct.
Homes Ready. Those homes can be altered to fit, and localized, I'd call it, to fit the nuances of that home in Wisconsin.
Yeah. So and that's what I'm saying. Look at to me, the tremendous opportunity for that small residential framer out there right now that's never been a manufacturer, that doesn't understand manufacturing.
Right.
Much like yourself, it's like, and that's a real jump. I've got to have 40, 50 homes in the pipeline that are all going to be light gauge steel before I can make this jump and buy this equipment and do all this stuff. This really is something to help that guy or girl get over that hurdle and get into manufacturing.
Robert, I think you sugarcoated that a little bit,
Okay?
because that framer doesn't have the fixed assets to get started. It's probably a small to medium-sized builder
Yeah, you're true.
who's
Yeah.
already doing this for himself and makes a conversion to metal.
Okay.
Once he does, or decides he wants to do that, then he can take advantage of any online order we take. But more importantly, he doesn't pay anything to be a distributor. We take the order, we collect the money, we ship it to him, we collect $1, we ship him 85 cents. He manufactures and delivers a house for more than he'll make more in that house than he would fooling around with trying to do it from the ground up.
That's correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah, correct.
And as important, maybe more important, that distributor who was a home builder and still is going to need to design his homes of today and the future.
Correct.
What do we have? A design center that's got so many repetitions that we know how to do it. And what we've developed, and I think the last time I saw you, we had specifications that were 2.0. They've gone from 2.0 to 3.0 to 4.1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those specifications govern all the details of that home. And as we find out more details that are necessary, we update the specifications. So if we have a curated plan that's in our inventory, someone orders that plan, and let's say it's a 4.3, and we're up to 6.1, we would take a look at 6.1 versus 4.3, make sure that curated plan is up to date. Bingo, it's manufacturable, just like that.
Yeah, and people are going to hear this and see this and go, it can't be that easy. There's just no way it can be that easy. It sounds too good to be true. I tend to sugarcoat things. You've already called me out on it. It's not as easy as I say it is. It's a business. You have to have capital. You have to, have people. You have to, go through the pains of a business. What I'm saying is that it decreases some of that learning. You've already done it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Robert, you know how long it took us to design the first home we built?
I'm going to guess. Seriously, let me guess.
Yes.
Couple weeks?
No.
Maybe a month?
Yeah.
3 months. 3 months
Yeah.
to get it right. That's when specifications started and we were at 1.0,
Yeah.
right? And then as we learn more and learn more. For example, we're working right now on a beam to go over a 20-foot garage door.
Okay. And you're wanting to do it out of cold form steel, obviously.
So how do we do that? Well, there's a whole bunch of engineering that needs to go into that beam to make sure it won't sag. And it's not readily available in the tools we use. So we had to create the specifications to do it the same way every time, so we never have a sagging beam over over the top of a garage door. And so you don't know this stuff till you encounter it. Once you encounter it, if it's going to happen over and over again, our specifications get updated. So start from the beginning if you want to. Good luck.
A lot of work.
A lot of work, and we keep building. We keep creating our knowledge base, building our knowledge base.
Yeah, that is just so on point. I was instrumental in getting 2 different factories up and going, and that is I mentioned this 5-story in Tucson.
Right.
Months of design, and then after spending months, realized it was wrong. Because we're trying to learn the software. We're like,
right.
wait, what do you mean? We sent it to an engineer. Engineer look at it and go, what are you doing? And it just changed. Well, maybe we should have started with the engineer in the first place. All this stuff that goes into it that you've already done.
Countered, yep.
Is money. It's worth something. It's worth a lot, actually. But
it's worth a lot to the customer.
Yeah, and that's the one we haven't even discussed yet. That end user, that person that's actually purchasing that home, is getting a A++ project.
That's correct.
With a whole lot of intelligence built into the outcome.
Without any effort on their part, right?
Yeah, it's not some guy pulling up in his pickup truck with a scale saw and some sawhorses and a speed square and bam, and don't fit like that. Well, let's just move it.
Right.
I get into it with people all the time when I tell them when you start fighting it, and the other joy in your system is that the designs and so forth are already done. When you're going through a traditional construction method, and we're doing drawings, what is it that they do? What's typical? So all in your specifications, it's for your PTAC units, your window air units, or your doors or windows or whatever. It's this manufacturer or approved equal. So we can't even finish a design because
You don't have the specs.
they don't decide what that approved equal is until they choose a subcontractor, which is way past the point of the drawings being done. And so now you're having to go back in. You can't make a dynamic change within the program. So you've got 300 windows that you have to go and make this rough opening change to. It just becomes this overwhelming task
Yep.
that you solve by doing it all up front.
We have a store that'll ignite probably the end of next week, maybe 2 weeks later. We've been working on it for 8 months. It's an Amazon store.
Mhm.
We'll have 42 designs. They're all on a 1624 footprint. They're in 7 flavors,
Mhm.
each with 3 different roof pitches, and then each with either 2x4 or 2x6 external walls. Now, those are all set and ready to go. You can buy it and it'll go up perfectly.
Mhm.
But on Amazon, it's a transaction site. It's like Henry Ford. I'll give you any color you want as long as it's black,
Mhm.
right? So they buy it and they get it. However, if they get excited about that and other things, they can come to our site. And we first started this business thinking we'll have a bunch of designs, and if you don't like it, then that's too bad. But we got so good at the design side that now we see that we can cater to somebody that wants a slight change.
Yeah, you want to tweak that? We can do that for you
we
easy.
can- yeah,
that's right.
that's right. So we just have this evolving foundation of experience that makes it perfect for the distributor
Oh.
in Wisconsin that has a special plan that he needs. Yep, we'll do it.
You're productizing the process.
That's right.
And which is, you know, the real strength of industrialized construction. And using your Amazon example, I think, and I've used this before. The LDS community figured this out years and years ago. With you can drive anywhere in this country and you'll see a church and be like, wait, I saw that exact same church in XYZ place. Yeah, because they've only got so many floor plans.
That's right.
Why? Because they can control the cost. They know exactly what it costs to build it, this whole thing. And for years, it's like, that's silly. Well, 5 years. And now
And it's like
everybody's starting to say, hey, there's something to this. The Chase Banks of this world, the Popeyes, the Salad and Goes.
Yep.
Why don't we just have 2 or 3 floor plans, depending on where we're going? Your site size is this. I can put a PO in and say I want my medium format Salad and Go.
Yep.
You're done. So, yeah, it's called productizing, and which is, again, it's a change for us construction guys that have always been out working in the field. But for somebody like this that actually sits in a room and thinks and and uses his head and dreams, this is where the two come together, and it's a massive win.
We have
It is.
a
It
meeting.
is.
Brad has a meeting with our design group every Tuesday. Is
Every
it, Brad?
Tuesday, yeah.
Every Tuesday. As Brad takes a design and evolves it, and that doesn't always, but it normally leads to specification updates over time. Just leads to more perfection.
It does. It just.
I mean, you're
streamlines
styling it in. You just continue. It's okay. The owner in Tucson, the developer owner that's done these 3, that's going to be has the owner in all 3 of these, pushed a lot of people to looking at cold form steel, which this was initially designed in lumber. Plans were completed. He made the decision. Let's go with cold form steel. We built it. When we were done, and the project, he says, I'll never build another way. I don't know why I haven't been doing this forever. I said, well, there's reasons, but I'll never build another way. So he has continued, and what he's now saying is, I'm building on the efficiencies that are being found as we go along. So the first one was great. The second one's even better. And now it's like I'm using the same subcontractor base. They're all learning the system.
That's right.
You mean you can punch the service holes exactly where I want them? You mean you can punch one in the top track that goes all the way out? You mean you can do it at a 45-degree angle because I've got a brace goes through there? Yes, we can. when they really grasp what all can be done, it's a world changer. It really
It's a world
is.
changer. Yeah.
That's exactly right. And it's all on the design side.
And it gets better and better.
And it is all, again, it's a design-led methodology. The fabrication, easy. The assembly, easy. The installation, easy. All the work's done in the design and in that upfront time. I saw that piece in the beginning get much longer in prefab and offsite. And this really, really compact on the fabrication and the installation.
That's right.
Great discussion with Roger Ford and Bradley Cooper today. Catch us next week for part 2. Until then, you've all built it the old way. Now let's build it better.